Hello all and welcome, and I am the mgtowphilosopher, and I tell you, you've got to love the cognitive dissonance that exists in the mind of a woman, and most especially in a feminist as they deny reality. Yes, plus-size model who gained weight. There may be more of me now, but there's also more happiness. Yeah. You got to be real good to lie to yourself when you are able to convince yourself that you are happier as a fat woman. Of course, really all she's trying to do is convince us as she gobbles down canister after canister of Haagen-Dazs. So let's take a look at this picture. So we got her on the left. She's not really a very attractive woman in that picture. And by the way, she probably couldn't get much work as a model in that picture. But once she balloons up to whatever size she is now, what, a 20? I don't know. But now she can get work because she's a virtue signaling plus size model. And there's a whole industry that's available and open to plus size models. Yeah, I might not be able to get much work as a regular model, but as a plus size model, ooh, I can get lots of work. There's not so many of these chicks with okay faces and fat bodies. Yeah, I can get work as a plus size model. Oh boy. Probably just got fat just for the work opportunities. Let's see what this very short article has to say on this broad that's lying to herself. And by the way, any broad that says she's happy or fat is lying to herself. Plus-size model Alyssa Alexander spent most of her life trying to lose weight. Good. You should be. That's great. That's what you need to be doing. Because men want a thin chick. She's constantly stressed about her appearance. Calorie counting. Well, just exercise. See, here's the thing I don't like. Most of these women who talk about being women who are trying to lose weight and always stay thin, they don't exercise. You know, if they would just exercise, lift weights, resistance training, okay, CrossFit, cardio combined with resistance, baby, you would have no problem keeping the weight off. But oh no, you're lazy SOBs. So you just want to be a woman with that curvaceous figure and that nice body and not be fat. But you don't want to do anything. You just want to essentially sit on your ass. And but now I have to count my calories and I can't eat so much. Yeah, it turns out if you don't exercise and burn very much energy, your calorie intake's going to have to be a little low. Oh, yeah, what a sacrifice there. Yeah, she was constantly calorie counting, stepping on and off the scale. She was trying to mirror what she thought society required for her to be called beautiful. Society. The society. It's called competing with other women, okay? And by the way, she's a model, or supposedly a model, although who knows what she was doing before she became a fat model, which there's now actually a call for, which I can't possibly believe. Good Lord. I can't. You know that's not appealing to men. It's just appealing to women. All this fat modeling is a bunch of obese women trying to feel better about themselves. And now there's enough of them that you got a whole cottage industry that is popped up around trying to make women feel better about themselves, not trying to appeal to a man. Oh, well, that's great. That's going to do well for you until you're about 30. And then when you get to 30, you're going to be miserable because you've got no man, no kids. You can't find a man because there's very few men out there really that are into the fetish of fatism where they like big fat broads. They're called chubby chasers. Not too many of those. So you're going to essentially be alone until you find your very poor loser guy working as a cashier in the dollar store because that's the best a fatty can get because it turns out men don't value money in women. They value looks, which you ain't got. And by the way, it's not society that requires anything. Society doesn't exist, okay? It's just a construct. It's a created thing. Men want you to be beautiful. And by the way, smart women know that. Maybe not most women in America, unfortunately, because they're mostly fat now because they've indoctrinated. But smart women know you have to be thin and reasonably attractive to get a man who can provide at least some amount of stable resources, can provide security for you. Most women get this. They know in their mind, I really can't let myself get to be a fat blob if I want to find a man. Of course, that's why they get fat after they get married, because women are lazy. They don't want to do anything. They have to be cajoled. They have to be pushed. That's why there's kind of this push by men. That you perceive this push by society, that's because it's how society keeps going. Men get with women who are attractive. Now, if all women are fat, Yeah, okay, I guess we'd have no choice. You know, I mean, if 100% of the population are big fat blobs, we're kind of forcing this fat love on us. We don't love it. You're forcing us. We have no choice. And if the only thing that's available for dinner is steak, and everybody sells steak, and there's nothing else, well, you have to eat steak, don't you now? But that was her then. She's different now. In a recent post, the 29-year-old, of course, getting near the wall, 29-year-old shared with her nearly 20,000 Instagram followers. Okay, so this is a broad that's made a career out of virtue signaling. So she was thin. Now she's gotten fat. She's getting on Instagram saying, look at me. I'm fat and I love myself. I accept myself. Of course, women love hearing that. Loser women love to hear that. I could be fat and great too and love myself. Yeah, fortunately, no man's going to love you. Oh, but who cares, right? You want to be a plus-size model, and you want to pander to these dumb women who've gotten big and fat and think that they're going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. You're not happy either. You're lying to them. You're lying to yourself just so you can get a paycheck and work as a plus-size model. A model who, by the way, is modeling clothes that no man would look at, draped over a big fat blob like you. With her nearly 20,000 Instagram followers, before and after transformation photos. Oh, my God. So she's flipped things over. This is me before and I was thin. And this is me after and I'm fat and happy. She's got it backwards, honey. You should flip it and lose weight. And then you'd really be happy. Because you might have a man and kids. And by the way, honey, again, you wouldn't have to count any motherfucking calories if your fat ass would just exercise some. However, it was not a weight loss, but a weight gain transformation. My God, what a horrible example this woman is setting. You are consigning yourself to a lifetime of unhappiness. Yeah, you're happy now. You can sit back and you can eat whatever you want as a lazy sloth, and you can shove the Twinkies into your face and shove the ho-hos into your face and eat all the pasta and steak and saturated fat. You can get yourself all fat and ugly. Yeah, that's going to last until you hit about 30 years old. And then you're going to say to yourself, no man. No kids. My biological clock is ticking. I want to have kids and a man. Well, sorry. They don't want land whales like you. Now, of course, if you lose some weight, you might have a chance. But of course, you can get a man. I mean, he'll be a loser. He'll be a loser bum, but you can find a loser man. I mean, losers, poor guys get fat women, okay? But of course, she's not going to be happy with a poor guy. Of course, just look at her, all right? She thinks she's wonderful. She thinks she's great. She's got such high self-esteem. She thinks she deserves Brad Pitt, and he should love her for who she is. Yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, she couldn't be happier. Yeah, right. The Kentucky native told Yahoo Lifestyle would inspire her to share the transformation photo. I see many women daily struggling with their body image. You mean how they view themselves? But by the way, I thought women were not all about how they looked. Oh, they're all so deep. They're all so deep and profound. And it's not about how you look, it's about what's inside. But regardless of whether or not you're thin or fat, your happiness is 100% focused on how you look, you dumb blob. Don't you get it? You are still 100% focused on how you look, except instead of being focused on being thin and happy, now you're focused on your image as a fat person being happy. You're still 100% tied up in your body image and how you look being what decides your happiness. Good Lord. How much cognitive dissonance can you have in one person? Apparently quite a bit if you are a dumb fat woman. I see many women struggling daily with their body image and their happiness in general. She says, I realize that while there may be more of me now, oh God, there is also more happiness that no amount of weight loss could make up for. Women equate happiness with how many servings of ice cream they can have in one sitting. I wanted to show that you can still be healthy. You can't! What do you mean you wanted to show that? What do you mean healthy? You're 29 years old. Honey, you could eat an entire truckload of truffles, okay? And you wouldn't die at 29. You're 29 Jesus Christ. You're not healthy because you're still able to breathe, honey, and you can walk around on your own, and you don't need a wheelchair yet, and you're not a shut-in yet, and they're not going to have to cut the wall of the house off to get your big fat body out when you die, okay? That doesn't mean you're healthy. You can't be fat and healthy. That's the bottom line. I want to show you to be a healthy, happy person if you're plus size. No, you can't. You can be happy because you get to eat your own body weight in fat every week, but that doesn't mean you're healthy, okay? Yeah, you can eat whatever you want. As a woman, I know that equates to happiness, okay? And in that situation, food becomes like a drug, and of course you're a druggie, and you're getting your drug of choice every freaking day, and you're pounding it down your fat face, so of course you feel happy. That's chemistry, honey. You're not really happy. Good Lord. You're not happy when you need as much chocolate as you can possibly eat to be happy. I wanted to show you can still be a healthy, happy person, even if you're plus size or may have a little extra fat. A little? Notice they're only showing her cans and above because what's below is really, really disgusting. Yeah, a little. It's a hell of a lot more than a little extra fat, honey. Or curves on you. Okay, I hate when fat people use the term curves. Hey, honey, Beyonce had curves, okay? She still is okay, but really, way back, before 2010, I mean, back then, Beyonce was hot, hot, hot. And chicks like her, hot, hot, hot. They're not fat. They have a little padding. But they've got curves. They've got curves. They're not you. You are just like the Michelin Man. That's not curves, okay? Those are folds. I hate when fat people call their folds of fat curves. It's not the same thing. You're trying to co-opt terms that identify things that are attractive traits and apply them to you. But they don't apply to you, okay? Women that look like Aunt Jemima are not hot. It's not something to be ashamed of a height. Yeah, it is. That's why muumuus were invented, okay? Yeah, it is something to be ashamed of. You know it's something to be ashamed of. You're trying to change. I love how everything's a social construct, so I can socially reconstruct society to make being fat acceptable. The only problem with that is it's biological. Women don't want fat women. It's in our genes. How are you going to change that, honey? Huh? Are you going to go from social engineering to genetic engineering? She goes on to say, in the before photo, Alexander says, while she was striving for physical health and fitness, her mental health was struggling. That's because you weren't being thin in the correct way. There's a correct way to be thin and healthy. You just eat right, and you can eat a lot, actually, and not get fat because you exercise, you do the right kind of exercise. Oh, but no, I don't want to do all that. I just want to be able to sit back like a sloth and still be thin and attractive. Yeah, well, your life is going to be very uncomfortable then because you're going to be counting calories and you're going to be constantly hungry as you try to keep the weight off. In the before photo, Alexander says, while she was striving for physical health and fitness, her mental health was struggling. Yeah, too bad, honey. Too bad. That's because you were doing things the wrong way. The affected eating disorders and body dysmorphia. You want to know what another eating disorder is? Being a big fat pig. Because being a big fat pig, it turns out, isn't natural or normal. Okay? That's not natural. Let's take a look at this picture. So, there she is on the right. She's a big fat pig. Contrary to popular opinion, being a big fat pig isn't normal. It's not normal. It's not the status quo of how things would be unless you were overeating. You want to talk about another eating disorder? All she's doing is trading one extreme for another. Okay? She's like, well, at least now I'm, can eat whatever I want. Bitch, please. You're a fat slob. You traded one eating disorder, not eating, for another disorder, eating too much. It's called binge eating. It's called overeating. That's also an eating disorder, you moron. You bet you're happy. I'm a heroin addict, and look, I have a trailer full of heroin. A lifetime supply. Yeah, you got a lifetime supply until your heart blows up, honey. I tell you, your enlarged heart explodes because it can no longer support your gigantic ass. And I just love how people like this are trying to represent fatism, being fat, as what's normal. No, being a normal, healthy, not fat weight is normal. If you're overweight, it means you're eating too much and you have an eating disorder, you big fat slob, you idiot, you moron, you. Oh, I was anorexic. Well, now I just binge eat. I'm so happy. Don't get how these people don't see they have a fucking problem. The affected eating disorders like binge eating, like overeating and body dysmorphia. You still have body dysmorphia, you idiot. have on a person's mental health can be just as bad as your physical health. No. For one thing, you can still have low self-esteem and not die, but your physical health will kill you. The model thought the only way she could achieve happiness was if she hit the goal weight. No. Clearly, she has some personality issues. She has some mental issues that don't have anything to do with whether or not she's fat or thin. I mean, those are symptomatic, but they are not the cause of her happiness or unhappiness. She has some issues she hasn't dealt with, and now she's using food as a coping mechanism. She used it before to try and feel in control, and now she uses it as not sort of, but as an actual drug to make her feel better. So before, she tried to feel in control and have more self-esteem, more confidence, and feel better about herself by being thin. And now, well, she just uses food as a drug. The model thought the only way she could achieve happiness was if she hit the goal weight or transformed her body into something she thought her boyfriend wanted, or the society deemed beautiful and acceptable. Yeah, you know what might be even better? If you put your self-esteem, your self-confidence, if you placed things like those, if you put them in the dumper in regards to things that make you feel good about yourself, and you actually found things that would make you feel good about yourself that were unconnected to your body image, well, then maybe you might be able to find happiness, real happiness, that was not connected to how you looked. Of course, now you're just virtue signaling, and you're feeling happy about being fat. There's no difference. You've traded one extreme for another extreme. Well, the society deemed beautiful and acceptable. We've been conditioned to think that smaller is always better. That's because it is, dummy. In reality, it's whatever makes you happy is better. Oh, really? Well, I'm happy chopping off people's heads and then using their heads as bowling balls. Oh, okay. Well, that's perfectly fine. Because whatever makes me happy, well, that's the best choice, right? That's interesting logic she has. Goes on to say, Alexander was able to let go of the negative drive towards perfection. Well, first of all, being thin is not perfection, okay? Perfection doesn't exist. Second, being thin or fat shouldn't make you happy. It shouldn't decide whether or not you're happy or not. That's not how you achieve happiness, and that's an entire another video. By the way, I cover some of that in my Blue Pill Empty Man Syndrome video. You ought to check it out under my original content playlist. But perfection, and began the journey to self-love. She's still on the same journey. She just traded trying to be thin for trying to be fat and happy. There she was, I was trying to be thin and I was unhappy because I was always hungry. That was the only problem. She had to do so much work. I was so unhappy because I was constantly having to count calories, and I was always hungry. And now I can be a lazy motherfucker, and I can be a big fat slob. I'm so happy. That tells you how easy it is for women to be happy. Just be big and fat. Yeah, that's the lazy person's trip to happiness. It doesn't last beyond a certain age. And by the way, trust me, she isn't happy. It's just drug-induced euphoria. Her journey led her to become a plus-size model. So she wasn't a model before that. So mainly, now her fatness is attached to how she makes a paycheck. Oh, I bet she's real happy now. How long's that going to last, honey? Until your face isn't even attractive anymore. Then you won't be able to make any money at that either. She also works full-time at the Kentucky Horse Park. Well, clearly she's not a very successful model. Bartends at a painting studio. Oh, she's a real winner there. And frequently travels to Los Angeles and New York for modeling as she works for a Kentucky horse park. If she's frequently traveling for modeling, she would be making better money. She wouldn't need to be bartending and working at a Kentucky horse park. Clearly, being a big fat pig model doesn't pay so well. She wants to clarify that despite her weight gain, she's healthy. Well, what is she, a doctor? How could she clarify that? How could she even know that? I can look at her and see she's not healthy. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about? I mean, we are healthy. Her blood type is Rocky Road, okay? Her blood type is Rocky Road. How could she be healthy? She works out regularly. Well, but Oh, God. Let me tell you something. She has an eating disorder. Anybody that's that overweight has an eating disorder. She's not one of these 2% who has a gland problem. And those 2% that have a gland problem, they're gigantic balloon people, okay? Has a balanced diet. No, she doesn't. It's not balanced when you're fat, you idiot. That's like saying, I'm a fat, thin person. You can't be both. You can't be fat and thin. You can't have a balanced diet and work out regularly and not overeat and be a blob. As in there's no way promoting obesity. Yeah, she is. What are you talking about? She's obese. She's obese. She should weigh like 110 pounds. And she looks like she's about 170. What are you talking about? She doesn't promote obesity. She's here promoting being a big fat pig. And it's okay to be a big fat pig. And you can be happy being a big fat pig. She says plus size. Doesn't plus size mean fat? Oh, I see. Now we have more social engineering from the left. Now plus size doesn't mean fat. Plus size just means larger than too thin. Oh, okay. I see. That's very interesting. The amount of verbal and mental gymnastics you have to go through to attain that level of cognitive dissonance and acceptance of this nonsense tells you just how nonsensical it is. You can be fat and happy and healthy. No, you can't. You might be able to be happy because you are living in a drug-induced euphoria, eating all that fucking fat and chocolate and sugar and shit, but you can't be healthy. Fat does not automatically mean lazy, unhealthy, or worst of all, a personal failure. No, you were lazy when you were thin. And that's why you had to work so hard to be thin. But now, you've just decided to let it all go. Moderation doesn't exist. I'm just going to go 100% in the other direction. Yeah. But you're not promoting obesity by saying that's okay to do. I see. On what she wants, others who are struggling with self-love. Oh, my God. To know, she says you shouldn't have to live every day hating yourself or wanting to change yourself. I wasted so much precious time being unhappy with myself, trying to change my body. Yeah, she's a feminist. She's not even interested in getting a man. She's totally embraced being a big, fat, man-hating feminist. Well, good for you, honey. But there's some women out there who actually want to find a man and actually be happy for real and not need to down a quart of ice cream to feel, quote-unquote, happy. I see now the progress I've made in not only my body image, which is bad, but my overall happiness. You have a bad body image because it's bad for you to feel good about being a big, fat slob. That is bad. That is not good for you. It's going to cost you a lot of money in the future. It's going to cost the healthcare industry a lot of money in the future. Your risk of cancer is many times higher. Your risk of diabetes, many times higher. Heart problems, many times higher. So many diseases you can get being that fat. Oh, but that's okay, because I feel good about myself, because now I'm not worried about getting a man anymore, and I can just be a sloth land whale and do nothing, and I can eat all I want. Oh, boy, I'm so happy. Yeah, right, of course you are. Meanwhile, you're telling other people to embrace such a lifestyle, which is very unhealthy, and you're really not happy. The happiness you're feeling isn't real. My overall happiness by letting go of those numbers that define my worth. And I want to help others find that peace within themselves as well. But I'm not in any way promoting being fat. What? You just contradicted yourself there. Oh, I'm not promoting being obese. I'm just promoting being obese. Oh, God. Fat people are so stupid. And by sharing her journey publicly, she's doing just that. Right. She's promoting being fat and being okay with being fat and unhealthy. Yeah, and how happy will you be when you die at 45 from heart disease, or you get diabetes and you're having to shoot yourself up with insulin every day as you stuff your face with Twinkies to make yourself happy? Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this woman, this fatty living in fantasy land. Is she really happy, or is it this a drug-induced euphoria from all the food she's eating and all the dopamine pumping through her brain from stuffing her face with all that sugar and fat and letting herself endlessly eat, no self-control at all, never heard of the word moderation, but she's happy. Yeah, right. So please like and subscribe and donate to my Patreon if you are so inclined. You will find a link in both the description of this video and the last 20 seconds. I am the mgtowphilosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.